I think beyond question, after CM Punk made his appearance on Colt Cabana's Art of Wrestling podcast, the one thing that we were maybe anticipating the most with Vince McMahon's appearance on the Stone Cold Steve Austin podcast on the WWE Network is how much they were going to talk about CM Punk, what was going to be said about CM Punk, how was Vince going to handle this whole situation, what was been said, what have you, da. I knew going into this I was probably going to be disappointed. Instead of getting an open and honest Vince McMahon, I was going to get a sheltered, corporate, watered down, protective Vince McMahon. And that's exactly what I got. And that's kind of a shame. I mean, I've never been a huge CM Punk guy, nor will I ever. And I still don't fully agree with what he did and why and how. However, I do have to say that stuff like that does happen in the real world all the time. Sometimes you get to a point where enough is enough. You allow shit to bottle up for too long, and you've just had enough, and you say, fuck it. You don't care what bridges you burn. You do what you feel is best for you. You say the money isn't worth it. So it happens. So in that sense, I kind of respect CM Punk. I kind of applaud CM Punk for doing that. He had the courage to stand up to the WWE and say, no, screw this bullshit. I'm going home. I don't need you, basically. Take this job and shove it up your ass. Well, when Austin and McMahon finally decided to get around to CM Punk, which was a disappointment in and of itself, of all the things you would think that they were going to talk about, you would think that that would be the first thing that was addressed. You would think that that would be the thing that would be the featured talking point. You would think in theory that that would be a thing that maybe would get the most time during this entire podcast, and it didn't. It was just another segment kind of crammed in the middle. That was disappointing. What was even more disappointing was just how sheltered and protective and corporate and political Vince was. I appreciate the fact of what he said with big corporations that the left hand doesn't know what the right hand's doing and vice versa. That's very true. It doesn't make it good. It doesn't make it right. It doesn't make it okay. But I can at least relate to that, and I can at least understand that. I can at least believe it when he says that maybe the WWE didn't intend to send out this on the wedding day, or at least maybe he didn't. I think there might have been somebody in the company that did, but I don't believe that Vince would have been sitting there and wanting to do that. I could kind of buy that. I mean, it's still in poor taste. It was still poorly done, but I can buy that. But then what I really didn't like were two things. First off was how this all of a sudden became, instead of talking about CM Punk and addressing some of the things he said and having a chance to clear the air, this became a thing of where Austin started to talking about this situation compared to his situation in 2002 when he walked out of the company. And basically Austin almost sounding like the pro WWE shill here, talking about how wrong he was and how messed up he was. You know, talking about how his body was beat up. He was frustrated with the creative. Maybe he was frustrated and tired with beating up his current wife, whichever one it was at that time. I don't fucking know. But the fact of the matter remains is that it was starting to get a little disgusting. Just the fact of, when you're talking about CM Punk, and somehow it becomes about Austin and his shit from 12 fucking years ago. And how Austin was wrong and he had no valid points. No. While I don't necessarily agree with the way Austin conducted himself at that time, I have to disagree. I mean, when he's talking about being asked on Raw to job to Lesnar in the King of the Ring qualifying match with no build-up, with no advertisement, he has a point. That's terrible. That's bad for business. Why in the hell would you give away Austin versus Lesnar as a King of the Ring qualifying match on free television, unadvertised, with no promotion, no build-up to it, when you could sit there and spend 4 weeks and build up to a decent-sized main event caliber pay-per-view match? Well, Austin was always right about that. And he'll continue to be right about that. And the creative direction of his character at that time in general, he's right about that. He shouldn't apologize for that. He should stand by that. Maybe he doesn't feel like he was at the best place at that time, and perhaps. But don't let it cloud your memories of some of the reasons why you did it. Some of the reasons why you did it are kind of easy to understand. And I was very disappointed because here's a topic here with CM Punk when Vince says he doesn't really want to talk about this and he doesn't want to really do this, but yet he's got his daughter and son-in-law talking about how CM Punk is a quitter, making all these type of veiled and not so veiled references to CM Punk and his situation. You know, don't give me that bullshit that you don't want to talk about. You don't think it's the best thing to air out dirty laundry. I'm not buying that bullshit. You know, I was very disappointed because it became about Austin's crap. making it seem like it was one big setup to a future Punk Austin match. You know, the whole thing in wrestling business, assume everything is a freaking work because there's always some type of angle. But there really was no hard-hitting stuff here from Austin. I wasn't expecting the greatest interview skills in the entire world, but Christ almighty, some of the things that Punk brought up were legitimate, valid concerns that needed to be presented to the CEO, the guy that runs the fucking company. And instead, in large part, it just became a conversation where Austin talked about himself and how much he felt he fucked up, how righteous Vince and the WWE were, with Vince laughing about it and fucking agreeing about it. It's just ridiculous. I mean, it was a huge disappointment. I wasn't expecting the world out of this, but I most certainly was expecting much better than this. But the other thing that really pissed me off about this, frankly, and it really pissed me off about this, is when Vince McMahon said that CM Punk's biggest problem is a lack of communication and a lack of being able to communicate with him. Now look, again, I'm not the hugest CM Punk fan in the world. I never will be. I think that at times the guy is a prickly ass. It is who he is, fine, whatever. But with that being said, there are many things that CM Punk is, and there are many things that CM Punk isn't. But with all the great things he has and maybe the flaws that he has, the one thing I don't think you can point to as his greatest flaw is his lack of communication skills. Here's one of the few guys that by and large is willing to say what's on his mind. Here's one of the few guys that can actively and consistently, effectively communicate and try to get a point across, get his point across. To sit there and say that CM Punk's biggest problem is a lack of communication just again shows how senile and out of touch old Vince McMahon truly is. How scary is that? That the guy running the show in the WWE believes that CM Punk's biggest problem is a lack of communication. Like when Vince was saying he wishes there was a Jim Ross type in the company now to reach out to Austin like there was back in 2002, I sat there and said, well, maybe his fucking wife that works for you? I realize maybe that's not the wife's business to get involved, but Jesus Christ, I mean, it's something. You're going to tell me that nobody in that freaking company has the ability to reach out and communicate with CM Punk? Like, I don't know, the 69-year-old CEO and owner of the fucking company, Vincent K. McMahon? CM Punk's biggest problem is not a lack of communication. Frankly, CM Punk's biggest problem is the WWE and the idiots and numbskulls running the fucking WWE. I can't believe Vince McMahon would be so delusional and so out of touch to sit there and say that CM Punk's biggest problem is a lack of communication. How the fuck does that make any fucking sense? Especially when you're sitting there and talking about your inability to communicate with him. So maybe that speaks to your lack of communication skills. And at the end of the day, when all comes to pass, I always emphasize there is only one H&IC of all that you see when it comes to the WWE, and that is Vincent K. McMahon. If the WWE and Vince McMahon aren't able to effectively communicate with CM Punk, that's not on CM Punk. That's on the WWE, and that's on Vince McMahon. If you want to know so bad what CM Punk is thinking, fucking ask him. If you want to communicate so bad with CM Punk, then communicate with him. Vince, you're Vince. At the end of the day, I don't give a fuck what anybody says, and that includes CM Punk, and I would tell him straight to his face. If Vince McMahon called him and told him he's boarding the corporate jet and he's coming to see him because he wants to talk, CM Punk is going to fucking listen, and he's probably going to make that damn meeting. He's going to meet him on the fucking tarmac. And if Punk says otherwise, he's full of fucking shit. This is the type of respect that a Vincent K. McMahon can still command. This is the type of respect that, like it or not, a Vincent K. McMahon has earned over the years. He is different than everybody else involved with the business today. He is different, and all of us damn fucking good and well know it, up to and including Vincent K. McMahon. So if Triple H is pissed at CM Punk, who gives a fuck? If Stephanie McMahon, your daughter, is pissed at CM Punk, who gives a fuck? They may someday run the company, But I ain't running shit now. Again, there is only one HNIC of the WWE, and that man's name is Vincent K. McMahon. If Vince McMahon wants to talk to CM Punk, all he needs to do is make the effort to reach out to talk to CM Punk and continue to reach out and make that effort until it actually happens. Sitting there and saying he wishes there was a corporate liaison and blah, blah, blah. What a bunch of bullshit. Then what the fuck purpose do you serve? You're the warden of the fucking asylum and you're not even running the fucking asylum. Holy shit, Jesus. All the stupid shit Vince said. And he said a lot of stupid, off the wall, out of touch, senile crap on Austin's podcast. Perhaps the biggest single stupid thing he said was that CM Punk's biggest problem was a lack of communication. If there was any problem of lack of communication, it was on the WWE and Vince K. McMahon's end. CM Punk's biggest problem with the WWE was the WWE and the idiots running the WWE.